IndiGo is expected to ground at least 35 planes due to powder metal issue with Pratt Whitney engines during the March quarter next year. The country's largest airline already has nearly 40 aircraft on ground due to other issues with the P&W engines. The carrier had a fleet of almost 334 planes as of end of September and is looking at capacity issues due to the significant number of grounded aircraft in the March quarter. Is IndiGo heading the go first way? Let's talk about that. Krishakumar joining us here in the studio. We also have Mark Martin of Mark Martin Consultants joining us here on this broadcast. Mark, thank you very much for taking time out. All right, we don't have Mark, but Krishna is here. Krishna, good afternoon. Looking at what's happening with IndiGo at the moment, we're reminded of a similar story that happened with Go First.
Exactly.
Just about a couple of months ago. It's like history repeating.
Absolutely. Go First, when it decided to ground, 50% of its fleet was grounded by then. And that was good enough for Go First to be grounded as an airline, to be grounded. Here, already you're looking at, let's get the numbers straight. You said it correctly. Around 330 odd aircraft fleet is what IndiGo has. More than 170 of them are Airbus A320neo aircraft with the Pratt Whitney engines, which are under question, the GTF engines that are under question. As of now, around 50 aircraft have been grounded, and there could be more. And you're looking at a 20 to 30% of its fleet being grounded come early next year, because there'll be more groundings by next year. And if that is the case, and that is certainly signs of concern and even alarm, I would say, Shweta, because another 20%, and then they will, be hitting that 50% of their fleet grounded mark. Bear in mind, the issues with Pratt Whitney engines have been ongoing for the last 5 to 6 years now. This is a build-up of the entire thing, and just fundamentally because an overwhelming part of its own fleet belongs to Airbus and not Boeing, and in Airbus A320neos, the particular aircraft with the Pratt Whitney engines in question, that is the reason why IndiGo is even in this situation.
And if these 30 plus aircrafts to be grounded in next couple of months from now, what sort of impact are we looking at? What's the total percent?
Right.
Or that 30 plus aircrafts, what's the total percent?
50 grounded already, plus another 30, you're looking at 80.
Okay.
80 out of 330.
All right, so approximately 20%.
Right, 20 to 30% even. That's why it's scary, because 50% is good enough to ground the airline. And IndiGo, as you're talking about, is the #1 airline in the country in terms of both volume, in terms of the number of fleet it has, the number of routes it covers. And here is the issue over here, the core issue, Shweta, is got to do with the MRO, or maintenance, repair and overhaul.
We will come to MRO, which is a very interesting and important issue in itself. But Mark Martin is with us. Mark, thank you very much for taking time out. Good afternoon to you. Please explain to us what's happening here. These issues have become persistent, consistent with Pratt Whitney engines.
Having me, season's greetings, happy holidays, and happy Diwali to everybody. I would have loved to come with you guys on screen, but as you can imagine, it's been crazy traveling around. So let's get straight into it. Now, I think it's important to understand this has got nothing to do with the MRO side of things. This has got to do with the Pratt Whitney GTF engine breaking, failing, the metal cracking, and metal cracking in a brand new engine. Now, we have to be mindful that there are more than 35 aircraft already grounded off an IndiGo that are installed with the Pratt Whitney GTF. And now the further 40 is almost at a stage of crippling the airline just when India goes into its peak holiday, tourism, Diwali, New Year's, Guru Parab, Christmas festival. So the festival season is just around the corner. Plus, you've got the inbound tourism, which is going to be dramatically affected. I mean, this is very, very clear. It's got nothing to do with supply chain issues. Supply chain happens when you've got an outstandingly reliable product which has crazy demand and the manufacturing processes can't keep up with the demand. This is because the engine is failing. And we've seen one airline go under. Go Air is grounded and in insolvency because of this. And now, God forbid, if IndiGo goes down, then we are in pandemonium and it's catastrophic for our aviation sector. I want to highlight, guys, that this matter is not something to be taken lightly, because guess what? This also currently has affected and affects Lufthansa, Air Baltic, Turkish Airlines, Hong Kong Express, Malaysian Airlines, and several other airlines across the world. And, this whole nonchalant approach by Pratt & Whitney by trying and attempting to trivialize this matter as supply chain, it's not right. And now this is a very good time where the government should step in and start flexing some muscles, because the common traveler, you and me, millions of passengers and millions of travelers out there,
Right,
stand to be catastrophically affected.
Right, Mark, that's where I was coming in regarding the MRO thing, because maintenance, repair and overhaul, Pratt & Whitney has MRO agreements mainly with European countries and China, whereas it's set to expand it to more European countries, and it is also set to expand to South Korea and Taiwan, and not to India. And India isn't pushing for Pratt & Whitney to have MROs with itself. Isn't that part of the problem?
No, that's not the problem at all. These are brand new engines, right? Brand new engines where the metal cracks. Now, when a metal cracks prematurely before its overall time limit, or TBO, or time before overall, it has got to do with manufacturing quality, and it has to do with warranties. Engine manufacturer will warranty an engine up to 3,000 or 6,000 hours, and then he'd say, okay, fine, now you got to do a recommended overhaul. Now, these engines and these aircraft which have come are brand new. They're less than 3 years or 5 years old. Now, you compare the same engine, the same aircraft, an Airbus CEO, with the IE V2500 or the CFM 56-6 engine, or the iLeap. Those aircraft are absolutely totally reliable and dependable.
All right. So even if there were to be an MRO facility in India, you're suggesting that this engine problem could not have been taken care of?
See, first of all, we have just one MRO facility in India, and these engines are brand new, Shweta. So we're not going to have Pratt & Whitney give a maintenance approval for up to tear down and overall check for a brand new engine like GTF. There's just about 5 or 7 overall MROs across the world. The problem is not overall, guys. It's not overall, because you can sell an engine for overall and you can bring it back. And if again the metal cracks, you can't just keep on sending it back and forth to overall for overall, because eventually, guess who's paying for it? It's you and me as the traveler. The airline is not running a charitable business. He will recover the money from the ticket price, right? So by doing that, you're not solving the problem. To solve the problem, you need to fix that engine. You need to replace it permanently. You got to discontinue it, and Pratt & Whitney, as you guys know, have already announced a recall of 600 engines. Now, they've done a recall not because of MRO. They've done a recall because these engines are bad.
All right.
And now, all the more, we have to take a very strong, aggressive step by fixing this. This is very similar to a patient with a heart attack, and instead of you doing a full open heart surgery, you just want to put a Band-Aid and send them home. It doesn't work that way,
Mark,
right?
what can the government do? What can the DGCA do at this point? We were
See,
literally dependent on Pratt & Whitney. Pratt & Whitney, which has not already taken care of many of Go First's engine and now in IndiGo's engines, which are grounded. And we're now talking about a new engine problem. What can the government do?
Well, to start with, Pratt & Whitney has not taken care of Go Air's engines problem. So Go Air's aircraft are still grounded. And as a result of Pratt & Whitney not taking any steps to fix the Go Air engine, guess what? The lessors are stuck with those aircraft because they can't fly them back. So the problem lies with Pratt & Whitney. Now, what can the government do? Of course, the government can do something. The government has to firm up and take this at a stronger level internationally to make Pratt & Whitney accountable to pay for these engines. Because, eventually we are in a country where we are governed by a regulator. We have a Ministry of Civil Aviation, and it's the Ministry of Civil Aviation's job to ensure that we have a healthy, robust, sustainable and a formidable aviation sector, which, mind you, right now is on its crutches because of issues like
Okay.
this.
Are you
And-
looking at IndiGo going the go first route, which is, will this problem result in IndiGo perhaps losing share of its market and not be able to fly towards later half of next year? What sort of impact are you anticipating?
Let's hope that what you just said does not happen. And
But is that
does
the
not
fear,
show itself
Mark?
to be true. I think, yes, it is a fear for everybody. It is a fear not just for you and me. It's a fear for the whole world, because it's also a fear for lessors. Lessors own those aircraft. IndiGo does not.
Right.
Okay? And eventually it's the lessors who are very deeply impacted as a result of this. So this clearly is, we all thought that IndiGo's firewalled from this, and it's IndiGo, nothing can happen to them.
Right.
They're invincible. But what you guys are breaking today is a very impactful report. And you're right, both of you are correct. You've got the pulse on it. The truth
All right.
is, nobody escapes from Pratt Whitney GTF engines failing. And imagine 70 or 80 aircraft which are going grounded now is going to have a deep financial impact on IndiGo's earnings. Imagine what the stock
Right.
price will be.
Absolutely.
And also the earnings per share and
IndiGo, which
dividends.
has reported healthy earnings, this will likely have an impact on that. Mark, thank you very much for taking time out. It is an important issue. We keep bringing these important issues to you here on Newsline.